The following program is an opinion program. The opinions expressed by the hosts and guests of this program are not the opinions of the management, staff, and advertisers of this station. Please direct all criticism, concern, and adulation to the hosts of this program.
Welcome to Alabama Politics This Week. I am Dale Jackson. I'm a radio talk show host. You can hear my shows Monday through Friday from 5 to 9 a.m. on WVNN in Huntsville and from 10 until noon on Talk 99.5 in Birmingham. With me, as always, Mecca Music. She is with 256today.com. She is the CEO. Smart news for smart people. Not smart enough to make both monitors work, though, but that's okay with us. We got a great show coming up today. Scott Buttram is here with us. He is the publisher of the Trussville Tribune. We'll talk with him about a couple things going on in the great state of Alabama and beyond. I've got a parting shot for you about a target-rich environment. Stay tuned for that. But for right now, let's go ahead and get to the 2-minute warning. Let's talk about glitches. Yes, that's right. Let's talk about that because that's apparently the only thing that happened with Ron DeSantis' launch. Now, I say that facetiously because I'm now going to only talk about that because whatever else he said didn't matter. And you know why it didn't matter, Becca? It didn't matter because A, they lost a bunch of people once they started. B, he didn't say anything about Donald Trump. And C, nobody in the media cared about anything except the glitch. You've given that opportunity. Ron DeSantis, this thing was a bust. Now, what kind of impact it will have moving forward? Probably not much, but it will become a punchline for a while. Oh, Saturday Night Live. Oh, the writer's strike. Can't do anything. Otherwise, that would have been a main thing.
So listen, I think this does have more than just give everybody something to, harp on about Twitter. I think it does have more effect than that, or more of an impact. Listen, when DeSantis, he was kind of the shiny golden boy when it was first starting,
sure,
right? And then he has taken a lot of hits. You've got the finger pudding, you've got all these other things. He needed this to be positive. Now listen, there is nothing you can better control than your rollout.
I agree.
You are in charge of this. This is your moment, your way to make it perfect. This reflects very poorly. This is not the positive buzz he needed.
Well, the part that I don't like about it is, it was because there were so many people, which, by the way, is true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what happened. They were overwhelmed. But still, traditional media is still king. Okay, you have to understand that. You can make news on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and, True Social and all these other things. But does it matter if you cannot get it to translate into the mainstream media? Because I'll just tell you this right now. My mom's 72 years old. She's voting. And if you asked her what her Facebook login is, she would say, can you come over here and look at my Facebook? Okay. And she doesn't think that Facebook can be accessed at different houses. She thinks it's just in her iPad alone. They are not technologically savvy. And I'm sorry, most of the voters are in that older age.
Not most, but a portion you can't ignore.
A disproportionate amount of voters are in that older age because they got nothing else going on. Okay, so that's just the reality. You can win the Twitter crowd and still lose.
No, I agree with that.
You can't lose the mainstream media consumers, even those who are skeptical of the media, like myself, and still win. So this was a bomb, and it's his own fault. He's getting exactly what he deserves. And if he does not make it out of the primary, that will be this is where it all started, and then they'll have all of that. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think maybe this wasn't where it all started, but this is just another point where it didn't go correctly.
After he loses, they will start at that moment and say, from this launch, it was doomed. All right.
Fair.
Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about school choice. Wink. Because that's what the Alabama legislature did to the state of Alabama. Here's what happened. There's the Alabama Accountability Act. It has been in place for over a decade. About 25,000 students have benefited from it because they went to failing schools, which are now called priority schools. And now they will broaden it just a little bit, the income cap, and let some more kids go and spend a little bit more money in there to allow that money to come out and be spent on private schools and things like that. About 1,200 more kids a year will be allowed. They will also, and this is the most important thing they did, give the Republicans in the Alabama legislature the ability to say, we did something on school choice. I mean, we expanded the Alabama Accountability Act. Is it a bait and switch? I would think so because they talked a lot about it during the campaign, but it became pretty clear early on in this legislative session that real school choice, Dale Jackson style school choice, was not going to be a real thing. Now, Mecca's going to tell you, you're the only one who cares about this, so go ahead.
No,
Mecca,
that's not what I said. I said
kidding.
I was going to tell you that I said this from the beginning, that what you wanted was not going to come. Listen, school choice is fun to say, but really hard to do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So actually, and I've got to criticize you a little bit. I think you should be happy. It's going to be by inches. The conversation is being repeated more. More people are talking about it. It wasn't just a slogan. There was, a slight movement. It's not what you wanted, but it was a movement in the direction you want, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes. This is like somebody with a walker moving an inch forward.
I don't know
and
how
everyone
you think it's going to
applauding.
be done otherwise. It's not.
You're right. That is the way it's going to be done. But the will of the people is already there. The fact that we have to get the will of 140 legislators to match up with the will of the people is kind of pathetic because they know where it is. And it goes to show you the big mules. Well, there's still one gigantic mule, and it's kicking the voters in the head. It's the AA. They run the show. There's no question about it. And look, they come by that power honestly through money and donations, and they're representing their people, and they're doing it well. No question about it. But the people who put these guys in office, this is not what they're talking about when they talk about school choice. Agreed?
Agreed. No, it's definitely a different version than you would think of for you, Dale Jackson, as school choice. But I still think you, as Dale Jackson, should be somewhat pleased that it did move forward. It gave you something to talk about for weeks and weeks and weeks.
I'm not looking for stuff to talk about. I'll be okay when there's other stuff to talk about. Let's talk about tax cuts and rebates and things like this. Now the clock is ticking, the calendar is turning, and they're only allowed to do things on 30 calendar days, and they're already through a couple days left here after this week. And now, are we going to be able to get these tax cuts done? I mean, because you got to realize that we passed the tax cuts in one place and the rebates in another, then it goes over to the other, they change it, now it's got to go back. And like, well, it's too much. We went from potentially a phase out of 4 cents on the tax cut to 2 now.
The grocery tax.
Right, the grocery tax is correct. Thank you. You like it? I love how you over-explain the things that I understand.
It's not over-explaining.
So now they've gone back and said, okay, now we're only going to do 2, but it'll end in 2025. What's coming up in 2026? Another election year. They might be able to turn around and get the other 2 cents. We'll see if that even goes, because the AA, Alabama Rise, and others, liberal groups, are saying, wait, hold on a second. You got to get that money somewhere else. It will die if that conversation starts. If that conversation dies, it will die.
It makes it that much more impossible to do.
The tax rebate has went from $400 to $100 to pocket change of your legislator. You just see them out the store and say, give me money, and they just give you some. And then now it's up to, I believe, $200 in one of the bodies. I talked to people that was in the House, and Kay Ivey applauded them for getting to that point this week. I talked to legislators, and they're like, there's no way 200 passing the Senate. So that tells me it goes back to the Senate.
Oh, but then
it fails, and they go, golly. I like how people do that because there's a calendar on your watch.
It's a universal sign.
I know. I do it too.
I'm not even wearing anything.
But they said they're going to say, well, golly, that calendar just snuck up on us. Maybe we're not able to do those rebates at all.
It's a shame.
And by the way,
they really wanted to, though.
Yeah. I hate the idea of the rebates. They should have focused more
But you
on
can't
the
come
tax
out
cuts.
that hard for it and that strong for it. Remember at the beginning, everybody thought this was the best idea, the greatest idea. We're going to put money back in the taxpayers' pockets.
Go back to the state statement. Kay Ivey sprung the $400 on them.
Well, that was a surprise for many.
And they're like, that's interesting. And now we're 400, 200 pocket change, 100, 205. So that's where we're at as of right now. All right, lastly, let's talk about I-65. This conversation is kind of silly, but it's noteworthy for one reason and one reason only. Who is the most adamant cheerleader for the positions felt by a majority of the voters in the state? Is it the governor, Kay Ivey, or is it Will Ainsworth? Populism, right? Let's talk about that for a second. I think Will Ainsworth is positioning himself as the ultimate populist in the state, and this issue on I-65 is a perfect example. Tweet out a picture of yourself sitting in traffic on I-65 and say, this sucks. And everyone goes, yeah, it does. It sucks. And when you do something about it, and Kay Ivey says, well, you guys are just trying to make headlines. It doesn't
Okay, well,
matter.
you kind of explained that so poorly. I know you're going to get mad at me for saying this, but so Ainsworth was calling for I-65, which runs all through Alabama. It needs to be expanded. It needs to be widened.
Yes.
Okay.
Widen I-65 because it sucks.
Obviously, that was a very, very popular move. Everybody agrees with that. I know I can't think of anybody who probably hasn't been stuck on I-65 traffic at some point.
Yes, they should pave my roads as well. Everyone agrees with that, too. It's a very simple thing to say. It's hard to execute, and I think that's Kay Ivey's point.
And she has a valid point, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. And you and Yaffe always like harp on Ivey for she's not the big idea, it's not the big action kind of leader.
I was going to actually praise her here.
I know, that's what I was saying, but this actually goes with, that kind of goes with that. And so maybe you just have to wait 4 years until Ainsworth is governor.
The problem here is there's no idea. Like, she brought up the rebuild Alabama gas tax, and she brought that up and said, look, I'm doing real stuff. What she should do is say, okay, you want to figure out how to do the highway? Here's my plan, how we're going to do it from A to B. It's going to take 20 years to do or whatever. Here's how much it's going to cost. Here's how we're going to do it. That's what they do, and that's what Ainsworth needs to do as well. But I just think it's an interesting thing where they're kind of conflicting because you don't ever see them together. Who is the MVP of the legislative session?
Ainsworth.
Yeah, it's Ainsworth. It's not Ivey. He's the one down there pushing different pieces of legislation, even though he doesn't have a vote. And Ivey, you know.
But it's such a smart way to put insert himself in this process.
I absolutely agree.
We're doing that's a masterclass.
It's just weird because Ivey has said very little this legislative session, but she came out specifically to criticize Ainsworth, which is weird because it's zero chance it benefits her in any way, shape, or form. Right?
Well, of all the things to speak out on, of all the things to, finally address and make a statement on, it is an interesting choice.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, when we come back, Scott Buttram, the publisher of the Trussville Tribune, he will be with us. We'll talk with him about a couple of things. I will poorly explain all of them. Stay tuned. It's Alabama Politics This Week.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for my friends at University Kia. Now look, I love Kias. I've driven plenty of them. I used to have a Kia Sportage. When my son was born, my wife said, no, we got to get ourselves one of these big SUVs. The Telluride from University Kia is an absolutely amazing vehicle. You get it at a great price, but you get everything at University Kia at a great price. Learn more about them today. Head on over to universitykia.com. Find the perfect vehicle for you, new and pre-owned. They got it for you. universitykia.com.
Want fun, safe, intelligent fitness programming? Want to build muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, drastically improve range of motion and mobility, and learn proper nutrition to fuel your life with energy and emotional health? Well, come find out why Iron Tribe Fitness is ranked one of the top 5 fitness programs in America. Come find out why personal training and intentionally working on your current movement patterns individually is not only important, it's just another core value that separates Iron Tribe Fitness from other fitness facilities.
To learn how to get your 2-week free pass, go to irontribefitness.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here, and this is my son, Grant. Now, I'm here to talk to you about Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. He's a handful, I'm a handful, and if I want to stay married, I need Top Shelf Customized Cleaning to come and take care of my house. They do an amazing job for me, and they'll do an amazing job for you. Cindy loves them, I love them, Grant loves them as well. Check them out on Facebook, Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. And don't forget, call them today, 256-417-9122. And when you talk to them, make sure you tell them Grant sent you.
The past 2 years have been hard. I was so excited when I finally got the job offer, and then they told me I'd have to have a driver's license to get the job. I can't keep food on the table for my kids or milk in the fridge, let alone pay my tickets. If I can't drive, I can't work. Support the bipartisan driver's license bill and get folks back on the road. Workers Drive Alabama. When we're free to drive, we're free to work.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Welcome back to Alabama Politics. This week, I am Dale Jackson. With me, as always, Mecca Music. And our guest this week is making his debut on this program, Scott Buttram. He is the publisher of the Trussville Tribune, and we hope to have him back, depending on how he does here. Maybe we let him come back on the program. Scott, thank you very much for being here. I want to start with this Ainsworth and Ivy dust-up. I think it's interesting in the sense that Ivy has been almost non-existent. I referred to her this week as like a specter, kind of hanging over the State House. Is she there? Is she not? Was it? Do we see her? Oh, I saw her in the mirror. Oh, watch out! Like that kind of stuff you see, but you don't really see her out there fighting for her agenda. Now, behind the scenes, I hear that her people are doing what you normally do: the blocking and tackling, contacting people, trying to get all this stuff. But she decides to speak out on this I-65 thing. And it's very strange. Were you surprised to see her say this? And who's right in this battle? Ainsworth and we should 4-lane all of I-65, or Kay Ivey and hold on, let's just calm down just a second. Who's right?
Well, we've got to do something about I-65. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And by the way, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it, watching you all the time and enjoy the show. Let's go back, if we could, to the last administration, Dale, when COVID hit. There was pretty serious conflict, especially in how we would recover from COVID, between the lieutenant governor and the governor. And remember, Will Ainsworth put together his own task force to get businesses reopened, small businesses reopened. Made a pretty big issue of the state picking winners and losers by opening Walmart, yet mom and pop had to stay shut down. We rolled into re-election time where both of them were running for re-election, and suddenly they're best buddies, playing nice, cheering each other on. I never thought that was going to last. I'm actually a little surprised it's taken this long for it to blow up. I don't think Will Ainsworth is at all interested in being patient about major conservative issues. I think he's ready for the state of Alabama to move forward on these things. I think Governor Ivey is more a creature of the political environment and institution in Montgomery than Ainsworth is. And, she wants to please BCA. She wants to please all these special interest groups. And one of her comments about I-65 and pushing back on Ainsworth was, well, you have to have a plan. You have to do it. We've paved all these roads in Alabama through Rebuild Alabama, but she's not mentioning a lot of those roads have been paved because the legislator voted for the tax hike, the gasoline tax hike, and she's paying them off. So we're not necessarily prioritizing these highway projects based on need. It's political payoffs for the people that voted for it.
So, Scott, what you're saying is, though, you never expected this, holding hands, getting along to last. Can we expect more of this as her term continues?
I think we're going to see 3 more sessions of it. I absolutely do. I think Ainsworth's next push is going to choice bill in the session next year. I think that's where you're going to see that push. Much like he pushed the grocery tax. When is the last time we saw a lieutenant governor get legislation on the floor? I don't remember that.
Well, the last lieutenant governor was
years old.
The last lieutenant governor was Kay Ivey, and she was kind of non-existent in that role as well until they were like, "Hey, you're governor now." I mean, that's basically how that all went. You blipped out there for a second, but I think you said school choice is something he's going to push in the next legislative session, which is a good segue into what we also have been talking about here today. I called it a bait and switch. I don't even know if it's that clever. I think it was pretty transparent.
I called it inching along.
Yeah.
If you're for school choice, there were improvements made.
They expanded the Alabama Accountability Act, and they ended all failing schools. So they both got school choice and ended failing schools in the state, but they really did neither in any real significant way. Would Ainsworth have been had Ainsworth been more outspoken this session about school choice, would that have helped the school choice issue move forward, or would it have damaged him?
It will not damage him. And I don't think it would have helped it move forward. explain why. Being the first year of the quadrennium, they're not going to push this in year one beyond anything, because part of this process may be, if it doesn't get past period, eliminating some of these incumbents that have stood in the way. So if you're going to have to do that, you want to do it near the end of the term, not in the first year of the term. The American Federation of Children, I think, will get involved to bring a lot of money. They are the ones who have been very effective. I think they've gone after 69 incumbents and removed 40 of them to clear the way for full school choice. So time is going to be important here, but I do think we'll see the push next year. Look at the growth. It is a complete no-brainer. And that fight is going down into the last part of the session. So that shows you what a battle it is to overcome just the government bureaucracy in Montgomery. That's one that nobody should have blinked on. Now, I will say this. AEA and the Association of Alabama Association of School Boards pushing back on the grocery tax cut, that is going to come back and haunt them when we have the school choice fight.
Yeah, I've been thinking, Scott, I want to talk about that in a second, but hold on, let's stay on the school choice thing for a second. I said earlier this week that, eventually everyone else is going to have school choice, and then all these advocates are just going to converge on the state of Alabama and push that over the finish line. I think maybe it kind of goes somehow that way. That's what I think it is. But back to, you brought up the tax cut thing. Alabama Rise, the AEA, other groups saying, hey, whoa, you guys want to cut taxes without finding new revenue? They kind of snuck this in at the last second. Not that they haven't been saying it for years, but they kind of laid low here, and now they're trying to strike. What is the strategy there? Blow it up completely? Why do that?
Well, let's give AEA credit. They have been pretty masterful in making their comeback onto the political scene up until now. To go public against a sales tax cut on groceries, that was the dumbest PR move AEA could have ever made. And thank God, because we know that they never work in the best interest of the state. They only work in the best interest of their pocketbook. Can we step back a minute to the school choice light bill? I guess y'all are referring to Donnie Chasteen's bill.
Yeah, if you're talking about the expansion of the Alabama Accountability Act, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, which we should be calling the minimum least we could do school choice bill.
It gave them a check. It gave them the ability to check a box and say, we did something on school choice. I mean, that's right. That's what it did. And it's good. There's a benefit to it.
Exactly.
But we could have.
Which I have been saying.
Yeah, sure.
Realistically, this is maybe the most that could have been done.
Well, I don't know about that part.
Well,
but look, like
not
you said,
ideally.
I agree with your premise that it's an inch in the right direction. I agree with that part. But I'd like to maybe have a yard. Like maybe we go that.
You're asking too much. You're asking too much, Dale.
So it was.
Go ahead, Scott.
It was. I was just going to say it was a poorly planned stall tactic. They'll come back. Yeah, I think the plan was let's expand the charters, which is a good thing. Sure. We're all for that, and we all support that. Put some more money in it. But there's a couple of little nuggets in that bill that nobody's really talking about. One of them allows public school special needs students who move to a charter, but still go back to the public school, the traditional public school, for some of their special needs, training, rehab, that sort of thing. Now the public schools can build a scholarship fund for that.
Okay.
That's in that bill. I don't know if y'all caught that. But,
those are fine. There's fine stuff in there, and I like the bill overall. I mean, if I was there, I'd have voted yes for it. Okay, I'm just to be honest with you. I have no problem with this. I want more, and I think me and you sort of agree on this, and I don't see any problem there. All right, the publisher of the Trustfield Tribune, Scott Buttram, thank you very much for being here.
Scott.
You have passed the test. We will have you on again at some other time. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Scott's gone. Mecca's gone. So the show's about to get a lot better here. I got a party shot for you on the other side. Stay tuned. Hey, folks. Dale Jackson here for my friends at University Kia. Now, look, I love Kias. I've driven plenty of them. I used to have a Kia Sportage. When my son was born, my wife said, no, we got to get ourselves one of these big SUVs. The Telluride from University Kia is an absolutely amazing vehicle. You get it at a great price, but you get everything at University Kia at a great price. Learn more about them today. Head on over to universitykia.com. Find the perfect vehicle for you, new and pre-owned. They got it for you. universitykia.com.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here, and this is my son, Grant. Now, I'm here to talk to you about Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. He's a handful, I'm a handful, and if I want to stay married, I need Top Shelf Customized Cleaning to come and take care of my house. They do an amazing job for me, and they'll do an amazing job for you. Cindy loves them, I love them, Grant loves them as well. Check them out on Facebook, Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. And don't forget, call them today, 256-417-9122. And when you talk to them, make sure you tell them Grant sent you.
I'm a small business owner, and after the past 2 years, I'm ready to hire. But it seems like every time I find a good worker, they don't have a driver's license. Hard to get to the job if you're not allowed to drive. Support the bipartisan driver's license bill and get folks back on the road. Workers drive Alabama. When we're free to drive, we're free to work.
Want fun, safe, intelligent fitness programming? Want to build muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, drastically improve range of motion and mobility, and learn proper nutrition to fuel your life with energy and emotional health? Well, come find out why Iron Tribe Fitness is ranked one of the top 5 fitness programs in America. Come find out why personal training and intentionally working on your current movement patterns individually is not only important, it's just another core value that separates Iron Tribe Fitness from other fitness facilities.
To learn how to get your 2-week free pass, go to irontribefitness.com.
Welcome back to Alabama Politics This Week. I am Dale Jackson. Thank you very much for being here. We got a lot to get into. I'll wrap up the show with a parting shot. Target-rich environment. We'll talk about it here in just a second. But first, let me tell you about the 7 things you should be talking about today. You can find that right at yellowhammernews.com. Every morning, Monday through Friday, you'll get an email from me, and I'll tell you all the things you should be talking about today. Read by legislators, read by the governor's office, could be read by you as well. yellowhammernews.com. Check that out today. Right now, though, let's go ahead and get to that parting shot. My parting shot this week is directed at, well, business. Okay, look, it's not even Pride Month. You know, I like to pretend to watch it. It's not June yet. It's not even Pride Month yet, and we're already seeing all of these things coming out. And I think we should be happy where the world is right now as a whole. Not perfect. Much better than it has been, where people are generally accepting of how people want to live their lives. I think as a whole, that's where we are. Even some of the stodgiest conservatives are like, fine, we've lost that cultural battle, we're done. And I think what's happening here is you get an inch and you take a mile. And you're seeing it in the form of Bud Light and Target and the North Face for some reason. And these other entities that are just, I think, intentionally thumbing people in the eye and trying to upset them. Now, with the North Face, they made it clear they don't care what happens. Their drag queen related ads are the ones they're going to do. And if you don't like it, tough, you can lump it, which I respect that. I respect it. That's better than being kind of scared of the whole thing. But what they're doing is also, and this is the one thing I like, is they are training conservatives on how to weaponize boycotts and things like that. When normally, and I'll tell you, I'm a conservative talk show, has been one for almost 20 years now. The big thing conservatives have always said, I don't like boycotts, free speech, criticize, all these other things. That's great, but just let people be. Well, it wasn't returned in that way. Instead, their boycotts have been weaponized. People have been fired. Cancel culture is a thing for a reason. And conservatives are learning how to use it. And if this stuff keeps up, you're creating a bunch of super soldiers that are going to go out and seek these things out. And now we're going to be in even a bigger fight. It might be better for everyone to maybe lay down their arms and stop this kind of stuff, but it doesn't look like that's what we're going to do. I think we're ramping up into a new phase of this where it's more active on both sides. And that's not a fun situation for almost anybody, but maybe that's where we're going. Thank you very much for watching and listening to Alabama Politics This Week all over the great state of Alabama. We'll be back next week. Thanks for being here.